Greetings, Blog Talk Radio. Welcome, welcome. Greetings, welcome. Come on in. All is a blessing.
To Africa, she's calling your name to the wind. Come back home to Africa, the planet cast and golden rain are waiting for you once again. Coming back to you. I'm longing for my family. Coming back to you. Out of bondage and now I am free. Da 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 da. Come back home to Africa. She's calling your name to win. Come back home to Africa. The planet cat and golden rain are waiting for you once again. Coming back to you. I'm longing for my family. Coming back to you. Out of bondage now I am free. Come back home to Africa. Come back home. Come back home to Africa. Come back home. Da 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 da
Greetings, and salutations. Peleo, Yahura Waku, Habaragani, Jumbo, Aquaba, Kedu, Bawoni. Greetings and salutations. You are now sitting again live with the Divine Prince, Pan-African spiritualist, practitioner, author, and advisor, Elegun, Oloye, Hoodoo, Obeah, Bokor. Sharing with you in all things spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, cosmic, universal, evolutionary, revolutionary, healing, and holistic from a Pan-African Hoodoo world spiritualist perspective. Understanding that all is truly and indeed a blessing. If you can just see beyond the veils, for it is all just an illusion and a test, and one of the greatest divine mysteries of this life cycle. This is my constant prayer, my mantra, affirmation, reverberation, reiteration, and it is my ever living reality. All is a blessing, is crucial to the very foundation of my understanding, my teaching, my walk, my works along this divine, all blessed life path and journey. It is how I, the Divine Prince, make sense out of all that we are challenged with here in our daily existence on Mother Father Earth. And it is my personal place of power and understanding. The place from where I begin, the place from where I realize and crystallize all my endeavors, understanding that I and I alone create and co create my divine destiny, and I alone create and co create my divine, all blessed reality. And so it is. Ashe, Asheo, and Ashe. Greetings and salutations again. Thank you so much for joining me here today at high noon U.S. Central Standard Time on Blog Talk Radio, on StreamYard, and on social media platforms, wherever you are viewing and listening to me now. I'm always honored and grateful to be present with you and here for you in this space. I took some time off. I did. I had to learn some things about myself. I had to learn some things about my audience. I had to learn some things about my community. I learned my value, indeed, my value. Um, I am grateful for those of you who missed me, who wanted me here live every weekday at noon. But I'm even more grateful for those of you who continue to listen and view in the archive. Um, my ratings didn't drop. My visitations didn't drop. And so I'm grateful. I'm truly grateful. I've had the opportunity to meet some of you, many of you in person here at the House of the Divine Prince, also around town at local events and spiritual gatherings, certainly New York City on the occasions that I can find my way to New York. And the most common thing that I hear is, why am I not on air daily at noon? So I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I stand in my truth. I needed time. I needed time. I needed to figure out what to do next, how to move as it relates to this platform. I also allowed time for many of you to sort of try your hand at it. I had many followers, stalkers, friends and otherwise who thought they could copy my routine. Some even stole some of my ideas, tried my show titles, tried some of my subject matter. You're still struggling to get a following. And I'm grateful for the following that I have without ever having to go live. I learned that my value is not lessened by not going live. I know it might not look that way in TikTok and Instagram, where it seems like everybody's going live. Everybody's got a top knot, some clackety 2-3 inch gel nails, and a deck of tarot cards. And they're claiming voodoo, they're claiming hoodoo, they're claiming Ifa, they're claiming our traditions. And so I've learned the value of my voice. I've learned the value of standing in my truth. I learned the value of standing in the presence of the ancestors and doing their will. I operate by spirit, operate by ancestors. I learned over the last year, some of y'all don't like that. I found out some of you hate that, and you're masking in culture. You're masking in Blackness. You're masking in Pan-African culture and tradition. But you have no allegiance to us, to the community, to the maintenance of these traditions. And if not for that reason only, I have to be present. I have to be present. I will continue to be present. And you don't have to be happy about it. You don't have to like it. Do as you will. But no, the ancestors are my front line of defense. The ancestors are our front line of defense. And they stand up, raise up in our very DNA coding. Science has now proven what we've always known in the Pan-African spiritual traditions, that the dead don't leave us. Our ancestors have never left us. And we now understand that they exist within the very DNA coding in our blood. And so we have an obligation, not just a desire to, a wanting to, a commitment to stand and be present and be advocates. Thank you so much again, Michi X. I had a chance to spend time with Michi X in the last few months. I've got a new motivation for being present. And if you don't see it now, if you don't feel it now, you certainly will. Keep paying attention. I know you're paying attention. I know you're paying attention. It's in my algorithms, not just how many people are listening, but regionally where you're listening from. And so I'm always grateful, first and foremost, for those who are listening to me outside of the US, outside of the West. Let me look at my map here. We've got listeners right now who are listening diligently in Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Libya, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, United Republic of Tanzania, Zambia, South Africa, and certainly Brazil, Peru, Chile, all the traditional places where we expect Pan-African tradition to be present. They're listening in Russia. I don't know why. I don't care why. They're listening even in Russia. And with all that is going on, particularly in the last 6 months, I've had a lot of time to learn about politics, culture and tradition, ethnicity, race, religion, practice. We have so many wars going on right now. It's unbelievable. And you assume that I'm immediately talking about Palestine. And I am, but let's not neglect Sudan. Let's not neglect what's going on in the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. Let's not neglect what's going on in South America, Central America. We are under attack. Blackness is under attack. Brownness is under attack. Ethnicity is under attack. And we mask it behind politics. We mask it behind religion. I've had quite some time exploring Al Jazeera in the last 6 months. I was not that familiar with Al Jazeera until October 2023. It's a very interesting chat room. Al Jazeera English. And of course, we now know that Al Jazeera is a platform that's under attack. All it takes is one visit in YouTube to that homepage. Click live, streams, pages that are going live to understand why Al Jazeera is such a problem. At any given time, day or night, there might be 5,000 people, 20,000 people, not just listening, viewing, but in the chat and active in the chat. So people are expressing, though they think they're somehow masked, they're expressing indeed who they are, what they believe, what they understand, how intelligent they are, but also how ignorant we are. And we're ignorant about religion. We're ignorant about culture and tradition. We're ignorant about ethnicity. And the majority, the large percentage, ride the wave of belief. What everybody else believes, they regurgitate that. They recite that. They repeat that. Rarely do religious folk understand their own religion. I learned that. I've learned that in a lifetime of experience in ministry, but I learned that really clearly in Al Jazeera, in the chat room in Al Jazeera. What people will repeat and repeat and regurgitate, often thinking it's an insult, often thinking it's, a way to humble and disrespect other people. There's a lot of that in chat rooms. You all know how chat rooms go. But it tells me more about who they really are, where they're really coming from, what the belief systems and patterns are on the ground when we wake up and act out in our daily lives, when we're not thinking about being on our best P's and Q's, when we're not thinking about being, a stellar representative of who we are. For some reason, that gets lost in the chat rooms. You all create fake pages, fake profiles, fake identities, fake names, all of which can be bypassed, by the way. If you're using a device with an IP address, you're not hiding, you're not hidden. And often when I'm in the chat rooms, I am searching the identities in the chat room even before I post anything, even before I say anything, even before I make it known that I'm here and I'm present. Those of you who talk the most, talk the loudest in these chat rooms, I've already Googled your name. I've already searched your background. I already know who you are. If I choose to respond to you in that space at all. And before I get too ahead of myself, those of you who are not here with me in StreamYard, greetings, beloved John Flowers. Greetings, Diana Kimball, Martha Martinez, Ghetto Chronicles. Greetings, Tom. I wasn't looking at who was actually in the StreamYard. I'm humbled. I'm really humbled, particularly for my regulars like Martha and John Flowers and Michi, that my first show back, y'all are here. And it lets me know that I was missed. It lets me know that I have a purpose for being here. And I assure you, I'll be here. I'll be here until the ancestors receive me home. I'll be here. But my live call-in phone number for those who are listening internationally and nationally by way of Blog Talk Radio is, and it's a new number, 563-999-3763. Again, that's 563-999-3763. So I'm working two separate platforms. So if you call, please press the number 1 on your telephone keypad. That will alert me that there is a caller in queue. Give me a moment to scroll back to this page because I'm going back and forth between the StreamYard, which I can see, and then Blog Talk Radio. And feel free to call in with your questions, comments, requests. I'm certainly grateful for you being here. Greetings, Sage, Rainbow Hall. Tom, if I did acknowledge you, thank you so much for being here, for being present. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. And if you're in StreamYard and you have a question, comment, or request, you must have your webcam together. I am not going to allow anyone to come on to StreamYard masked. We learned our lesson about that in the past, didn't we? Someone came in, turned on their cam, we allowed them into the chat, and then they popped porn on the screen. Unfortunately, I was able to save that show, but YouTube gave me a great issue with that. They went in manually and removed that portion of the show. Otherwise, the whole show would not have been able to be aired or stored in archive. So if you're going to communicate with me by way of StreamYard, Facebook, YouTube, etc., the chat box is great, and I'll do my best to respond to your questions and comments in the chat box. If you want to be seen and heard, turn on your webcam. I'll screen you and then I'll bring you on. Otherwise, feel free to call me now and to the end of the show at 563 999 3763. Again, that's 563 999 3763. I don't have a whole lot of time to spend with you today, but I do have some time and I will be here for a minute. We have a very special guest, local New Orleanian, that will be joining us right about 1 o'clock, I believe. So I'll be here today for a full broadcast, and I certainly invite your participation, your questions, your comments, your active participation. Neophyte Bokor, greetings, beloved. Peace and blessings to you as well. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you're here. As I said just before you came on, I'm glad you all stuck through it with me. Many of you know who are active in social media, like Martha Martinez. I've been working. I just haven't been doing live broadcasts. I'm still doing movies, TV, advertisements, music videos, documentaries. I will be appearing on 2 reality programs. I almost said the names, but I'm learning not to do that. In the coming month, I'll be on 2 popular reality TV series, and I'm preparing to release a new product. I'm just going to call it a product without going into great detail in the coming weeks, and I look forward to your active participation, your feedback, your love, and certainly your support. I promised Michi X. Many of you are familiar with our beloved Michi X. I promised her that I would do some work with her and for her. So I will also be showing up on Michi X platform. I did have it open in a tab. I might have closed it. So Michi, if you're still here, just type your information in the chat. Otherwise, give me a second to find it. I think I got it. Okay, Michi has created her own platform. So many of us, shared her in Instagram and on other platforms, but she now has her own active platform. I just popped it into the chat, www.therealmichiex.com. Michi, MECHEEX.com. So be careful of those perpetrators. Be careful of those fake profiles. They're creating them on X, Twitter X, in Michi's name. Michi's not even on Twitter. They're creating them in my name on Instagram, on TikTok, my picture, my pictures, my videos. But if you're paying attention, pay attention to the spelling. There are no numbers in my name, no dashes and dots and other things added into my name. Certainly if the following is less than 19,000 in TikTok, less than 19,000 in Instagram, you're on the wrong page. That's not me. And I am not creating new profiles. I'm not creating new pages. No need for that. There's a continuous, constant stream between all of my platforms. I don't play with my name. I don't play with my LLC. I don't play with my business names and identities in any way. So be careful. They're out there. People are losing money with fraudulent people. I'm never going to reach out to you in a direct message and claim I've got a word from the ancestors for you. We don't do that. Authentic practitioners do not do that. Voodoo does not proselytize. So I'm not going to show up at your door with a track to save your soul and induct you into voodoo. We don't do that in the real world, and we certainly don't do it in social media. So anyone who's claiming to be a practitioner, a spiritualist, a witch, whatever, that's showing up uninvited in your DMs, know that it's a scam, know that it's fraudulent right off the top. Right off the top. They do the same thing in business and finance. I had a guy right now in, what is it? The more professional, LinkedIn, the more professional site, I guess it is. And he pops up in my DMs, how am I doing financially? Well, it's none of your business. I'm doing financially. And he still came back with his little spiel. Totally fraudulent. Professionals don't do that. I'm not going to show up in your DMs. Meet Your Ex is not going to show up in your DMs and ask you or offer you anything. If anything, I'm referring you back to my website that's in my name. I'm referring you back to my email address, divineprince@houseofthedivineprince.com. It's in my name. I'm not sending you to WhatsApp and other more anonymous locations. Those are fraudulent. And because ATR, Pan-African spirituality and tradition, and indigenous world practice has become really popularized in the last 2 years, my long-term listeners saw it coming because I talked about it a lot. I talked about the fraud and the perpetrators a lot. And then it just blew up overnight. Right around the time that I stopped doing regular podcasts. Listen, I don't like to hear the sound of my own voice. I told you all that. I don't come here to hear the sound of my voice. I would much rather answer your questions, respond to your request, respond to your concerns, hear your questions, comments, and requests in active participation here. I'm not here to hear myself talk. Those who know me off air, I'm not a big talker. I'm not. My perfect place of peace is silence. It's quiet. It's doing the work. The fact that I'm articulate and can talk is a gift of the ancestors, a gift from the gods, a gift from my very educated mother. So I can speak, I can be present, but I'm more comfortable being quiet. I could sit here for an hour and just look at y'all and listen to y'all and enjoy this moment. But I have a job to do. My vocation, spirituality and tradition, my vocation is voodoo. We've also now had our first successful annual National Voodoo Day here in this beautiful, historic, enchanted city of New Orleans, Louisiana. And of course, we have some haters and some people that are not happy about it. You all expecting who to not be happy about it? People of other races? Black people,
90 seconds.
Black people that's not happy about it. What's going on, Blog Talk Radio? I should not be timing out in Blog Talk Radio. So if I'm not able to recover, I may have to create another Blog Talk Radio link, and I'm going to try and do it and talk at the same time. So please forgive me. But she's doing a countdown, and that shouldn't be happening. I thought for
60 seconds.
I thought for sure that I had programmed this to go a little longer. So give me a second here. I think I can do it. Let's see. Okay. Something's missing. It's not letting me save. Okay, I know what I'm gonna have to do. If I get caught off Block Talk Radio, I'm just gonna go live. So I'm not gonna schedule a new Blog Talk Radio platform.
10 seconds.
10 seconds and counting, y'all. Give me 10 seconds to get this other show going. So thank you so much, Victor Valdez, Aboru, Oboye, Aboshishe, Ashe. We certainly appreciate your being present, and those who I can't readily see in social media. Aunt Mary's niece, grateful for your returning and your being here with me. And everyone who is in social media right now who's listening and enjoying the show, I certainly am grateful for you. I'm going to continue, but I'm going to end the Blog Talk Radio stream now and restart it now.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Let's go live. Give me a second, y'all. Blog Talk Radio is creating the new live. Now, why it's taking so long, I don't know. And if there are any issues out there with sound, technical quality, I'm a little rusty. Let me know and I'll address it. Ghetto Chronicles, again, greetings, beloved. Diana Kimball is in Ghana. Greetings. Thank you so much, Ghana, for being with us. Did I miss anybody? No. Okay, is the Blog Talk Radio back? Blog Talk Radio looks like it's still creating. Let's see. Okay, do I need to refresh the page? Come on now, Blog Talk Radio. Once I get back into the habit of doing this every day, this should not be an issue. Here we go. Okay, Blog Talk Radio is waiting for me to call back in. So give me a second, y'all. 292. But it was the local.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please enter your host PIN. When finished, press the pound key.
Okay, that's wrong.
The PIN you entered does not match the PIN you have on file for your account. Please re-enter your PIN. To start your show now, press 1. To hear important
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Enjoy your day, Martha Martinez. Enjoy your day. Let's see if I can stop the theme music. So we got Blog Talk Radio back, but we don't need to hear the theme music again. There we go. All right, I'm back, Blog Talk Radio. Your call-in number is 563-999-3763, 563-999-3763. So we had our first annual National Voodoo Day. And we spelled voodoo French Creole, V-O-D-O-U, because we are inviting the international voodoo community to participate in this event. So not just New Orleans, not just locals to the U.S., but certainly Haitian. We had Haitian practitioners who participated in our event. We have family and friends from Benin and Ouida Benin who are participating in the event. And we are supported by the mayor of New Orleans, the city of New Orleans, and the state of Louisiana. And the mayor has a cultural advocate, cultural liaison, who is from Benin, who's presently on her staff, who has been pivotal in supporting our event. So the haters came out the woodworks, and the haters are exactly who some of you would suspect them to be, not at all who some of you would expect them to be. Our community. And so we heard everything from we're copying other events. We heard everything from we had too many people of other ethnicities participating in our events. We got all kind of nonsense, threats, phone calls to try and prevent us from having this event. We actually had an emergency meeting in Congo Square the Saturday morning before the Sunday of our event, and we were asked to shut down our event. Y'all must don't know who I am. Y'all certainly didn't do any homework. Y'all certainly aren't paying attention, locals. If you thought that was what's going to take to get me to shut down any event that I plan, any event that I'm a part of, you got the wrong guy. And again, you clearly haven't done your homework. You better ask somebody. West Bank, East Bank, uptown, downtown, you better ask somebody. I'm not the guy to play. I'm not going to kiki with you. I don't even like to debate and go back and forth with you. You learned that Saturday morning before our event. My battle is spiritual only. Spiritual only. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to cuss you. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm doing ritual work and ceremony. I'm inviting the presence and intervention of our ancestors. I'm inviting the presence and the intervention of the Most High. And I'm sending back to you that which you send out 100-fold. So the wickedness that some of you unleashed, you better watch yourself. See, because you all think this is somehow witchcraft. Voodoo is not witchcraft. Let's be clear. Voodoo is not witchcraft. Voodoo is nature. Just like in Yoruba, Ifa, Iyami is nature. Iyami is often referred to as witchery. But have you witnessed the birthing of a child? We're not witnessing witchery. We're witnessing divine magic. We're witnessing nature. And so my ancestors stand with me. Somebody asked, how do I do it? My ancestors. How do I make it? My ancestors. Brother who asked the question in Congo Square Saturday morning, my ancestors. That's the answer to your question, my ancestors. So while you're trying to battle me in carnality, you are completely unprepared to battle me in the spirit realm. The spirit realm is more real, more evident, more able to manifest, fix, repair, and change than anything we can envision on the physical material plane. Anything. So know that when you come for me, you're coming for the ancestors. When you come for me, you're coming for the power and the spirits that stand up in our ethno-cultural traditions. It's not voodoo, it's not root work, it's not conjure, it's not palo. It's what stands up in our very DNA coding. It stands up in our very ancestral memory. So know this. Know this. Your hands too short to box with my ancestors. Know this. The spirit realm is more real, more evident than anything you all can concoct in social media, on paper, anything. It's not real. And those who know me and know this work know that it's not real. You got a long way to go to catch up to my experience in this tradition, to the people that I've been ingratiated to sit and kneel at their feet. You got a long way to go. And how is that? How is that? How does one come from Benin and know me and call my name out? How is it that one comes from Ile Ife, Obatala, and show up at my house? But someone said that I'm posing. Someone called me a performer and thought that was somehow an insult. I have a SAG card. I'm a professional performer. Where's the insult in that? But I make a very clear line, very clear distinction between entertainment and what's authentic to these traditions, what's authentic to this practice. The taste today is for entertainment. That's the taste. So when we experience Pan-African traditions in TikTok, in Instagram, entertainment. I don't care how truthful the post is, okay? It's the graphics, it's the imagery, it's the music, it's the sound, it's the comedy, it's the presence that makes these videos go viral, that make these people go viral. So we all know people who are doing nothing but foolishness, who've gone viral. We all know that. Some of the most popular platforms are humorous and comedic, are purely entertainment in social media. But you all are confusing that with authentic practice and tradition. And that's why it's so easy for the charlatans and the scammers to reach out to you in social media and get you to respond with your Cash App, to get you to respond with your time and your money. And it's only once you get conned or scammed that you then go and research who I am and where to find me. And then when you do so, listen, this ain't a read. I'm repeating what you all have told me. Then when you do so, you find out how easy it is to validate who I am, where I came from, what I'm operating with. But many of the people who have something to say can't be validated. Your names ain't even validated. Your identities ain't even validated. And I'm not impressed by your academic accomplishments and your degrees and what that means. What does that mean? How many charlatans end up in federal court, criminal court with degrees and academic accolades? I rest on my reputation. I rest on my work. I rest on the history of who I have consistently always been. You ain't got no dirty receipts, not on me. If you had them, we'd all know about it. You'd be viral now. But that's not the case. I have a greater reach. One of the reasons they're upset about this event than many of the people who are complaining about the event. And some of these people sit in so-called high positions, lead organizations, but somehow your organization with all of your flunkies and handmaids and slaves have no traction in social media. When the littlest of foolishness gets traction in social media, but you're running a legitimate organization that has barely any traction anywhere in social media. That's why you're upset. We get it. Know that we understand why what we're doing is a threat. I also want to mention, let's get back to religion just for a moment, particularly in the presence of what's going on. As I suggested, Al Jazeera, the chat box, everybody's throwing their religion up as a mask, often as a mask. I want to say as a shield, but as a mask. The Christians, the Muslims, the Hindus, the Jews, very little back and forth from non-religious folk in that space. You don't see voodoo priests in there, babalaos, ianifas, indigenous aboriginal practitioners around the world, mudslinging, going back and forth with each other in that space. It's too much noise coming from the Christians, the Muslims, and the Jews. We spend more time shutting you guys down with the repetition of nonsense. We're not there to proselytize. The fact that people can go into a chat space in YouTube and then find the people who are chatting, well, that's easy to do. I'm surprised that more people don't do it. If you don't have a face, if you don't have a documentable identity, even if it's Fred Flintstone, I'm not even paying attention to you in YouTube chat. And if you have too much to say, I might even be blocking you in the YouTube chat. And so when we're in social media and we're seeing these spiritual posts, these religious posts, these root working and conjure posts, be careful about what you're taking in. A great tool in social media is to copy and paste. And thanks to Instagram and Twitter, they have all kind of, technology now that makes the copy and paste easier. Did you know that someone can load your podcast into an application and the application will transcribe everything you said? And then you go back into TikTok and you read that script over your own images. Now, those of you who are familiar with TikTok know that that's happening every single day. Those of you who are still a little late on the technology, you don't get that. You don't get that. So many of the most popular hoodoo, root work, conjure, voodoo with 4 O's, Ifa representatives, I'm being nice, representatives in the social media space are often regurgitating information. They're not speaking from experience. When I went through this ceremony, I experienced. Santeria experience. Read that book, Santeria Experience. Maureen Gonzalez Whippler. She tells of her experience in Santeria, her experience with Lukumi. She's not giving you the detailed specifics. It would invalidate her authenticity. Mama Vivian, Mama Wata, she's giving you her experience. She's not giving you the explicit formulas and recipes and details of her ceremonies that would authenticate the experience. There are words, there is language that we use, almost like coding. Shriners, Masons, everybody uses coding. If you've ever gotten into grant writing, coding, dealing with politicians and folks who are, issuing out the money, the language is all coded. And so from the language and authenticity, we can spot what's true and what's not. And the authentic practitioners are not about to call you on it. I don't have time. I don't have time to make videos about what you said that wasn't true, what you said that was a lie, who you're conning, scheming. I don't have time for that personally. There are other folks out there who love doing that. I applaud you. Your job is necessary. I don't have time for that. It's enough for me just to shut down the fake profiles that are being created and recreated of me and of my face. Greetings, beloved. Jitu Kapan. Am I pronouncing your name right? Joshu. Welcome and greetings. The root doctoress. Come on in, beloved. Salutations. Alexis Williams. Greetings, Godchild. Come on in. Welcome, welcome. Blog Talk Radio. Let me check because I get to talking and I forget to check that Blog Talk Radio. My live listening and call-in number is area code 563-999-3763. 563-999-3763. Blog Talk Radio now has a listen and a talk button, I believe. So you can click listen and you're just listening. You press number 1, I believe it alerts me that you're waiting to speak in the caller queue. And certainly if you want to speak here beyond the chat, you must have your webcam. I'm not bringing on any faces or voices that I don't know personally without a webcam. If Michi wanted to come on, I right away. And Neophyte Bokor right away. I know their voice. I know who they are. Even if they're masked, I know who they are. But new callers, new participants in this space, this visual space, I have to be able to see you. I won't be bringing anyone in the coming shows without clearly vetting who you are. So the National New Orleans Voodoo Day was excellent. Excellent. More than we could have asked for, considering the drama that preceded it. And the drama still continues to some degree. Some of our elders, 70 and over, have had their very livelihoods threatened for participating in this event, have been told that they're not going to get no grants and no funding for participating in our event. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And if they make this an issue, I'll come back and I'll call your names. Locals know exactly who I'm talking about. The international community doesn't necessarily need to know who I'm talking about unless you make it an issue. Now, if you make it an issue, I'm coming for your grants. I'm coming for your funders. I'm coming for you if you make this an issue. So you won't just have to worry about what I might be ritualizing. You might have to worry about the law. You might have to worry about the federal government that you are so dependent on for some of your funding. I'm not dependent on any organization, any government for funding. Period. Period. I speak my truth. I stand on my truth. You all can't tell me what I can and cannot say, who I can and cannot participate and befriend. Who do you think you are? Who died and made you gatekeepers of authentic Aboriginal, indigenous culture and tradition? Who? Particularly those of you who are, meddling in our business, who have nothing to do with voodoo, don't care anything about voodoo. That's a point that I started and didn't complete. So I'm learning that there's an active war against this community, if you don't realize it or not. And when you start seeing that many top knots and gel nails and tarot cards and Ifa readers and practitioners, as we are seeing on TikTok, that's a reason to want to shut TikTok down. It also speaks to what's happening at the cultural, spiritual level in America and throughout the world. People are tired of the foolishness. People are tired of the buffoonery, the coonery. People are tired of the backstabbing. And now that I have some receipts, know that these churches are actively working against you behind the scenes. They may not tell you to your face. Oh, I always knew that the hate was there. It was when we created this event that it came out the closet and it bared its fangs. Yes. They're actively working against you. I have another partner who signed up with a national Black media outlet. So I won't say who or which one. And they were to promote the business of this individual. Once they received the content of this person's business, resume, what we do, how we do it, etc., and the mention of Aboriginal, Indigenous, Black spirituality and religion was there, they said they wouldn't work with her. Said she was promoting demonology. Said she was promoting wickedness. So there are indeed Christians, Muslims, Jews among us, friends, family among us in our community who are actively working against the power and the foundation of Aboriginal and Indigenous Pan-African spirituality and tradition. It took a major event like this for me to really see it and get the receipts for it and get the receipts for it. So some of you are feeling that evil eye or feeling that wickedness. It's not your imagination. It's not your imagination. Some of you are still feeling a need to hide your ancestral shrine. I know my godchildren don't. I know my friends and family don't. But some of you are still feeling the need to sort of conceal your commitment to these practices. I get it. That's not how I choose to address it, but I get it. Some of your moms and dads and family members are wicked, and they're masking behind religion. If you don't see genocide as wicked, masked behind religion, this conversation might not be for you. You might not understand what I'm saying at all. You may be one of those that I mentioned earlier in the conversation who the go along. It's the government religion, it's the societal religion, everybody's doing it, and you go along. Some of you sneak off to come see me and other practitioners. But this group that I'm talking about right now is actively working against you. Some people, friends, family, followers dropped you because you wouldn't stop talking about that spirituality stuff. You wouldn't stop talking about that hoodoo and that root work and that voodoo and that conjure. Yes, ma'am. But then there's those who are following us to seek to appropriate, bastardize, and just bring the whole thing down. Some of these fake wannabe practitioners have a very different motive. And the motive is to discredit the practice, to discredit the tradition. I find all of you tarot card readers who are masking it as hoodoo and voodoo, you're in that club. You are seeking to diminish the value of authentic ethnocultural tradition and practice, and the means by which we grow into this practice, grow into this tradition. I know some of you don't like mentor, don't like initiation. That's a modern phenomenon. But it's critical, crucial to this practice, to the tradition. How many minutes do we have? We got about 2 minutes. Our very special guest should be here, if not now, soon. Let's see. Beloved, if you're calling, and it's 563-999-3763. 563-999-3763. If you are coming on air with me, then you need to follow the StreamYard link that I said. Oh, she's here. She be here. So I'm going to introduce to some, reintroduce to others, our beloved Lilith Dorsey, the author, the book writer, well known. She's with us here today. She's also a member of our committee for the National New Orleans Voodoo Day. So she's privy to some of this drama that I mentioned right before she showed up. I didn't call any names. I didn't call anybody out specifically, Lilith. But locals know who I'm talking about. I didn't think it was necessary to tell the international audience exactly who. Not yet. Now, if they make it a big deal, I'm coming for them. I'm coming for them. Okay? I'm coming for them. So grateful to have you with us today. Please reintroduce yourself in your own way. Make sure people know how to reach you, how to find you, how to follow you in social media. And then we will accept questions, comments, and requests from the audience.
Fantastic. Well, I'm Lilith Dorsey, voodoo priestess, anthropologist, writer. As you said, people can find me on social media. Lilith Dorsey, that's my name. I'm the owner of the largest voodoo blog in the world, Voodoo Universe. So if you just search Voodoo Universe, that'll come up, especially with, I think there's over 750 blog posts up there now about voodoo and hoodoo and all the African traditional religions. And been doing that for a long time. And I'm so happy to be here today with the Divine Prince and to be able to talk about some of the stuff that we're working on together for New Orleans National Voodoo Day.
To get the greater community better prepared.
Oh, all right. I got more time.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Greetings, everybody.
Lilith, can you hear me? Can
Greetings,
you see?
Greetings.
Okay, something is
yes,
going on.
Yes, now I can see and hear you. Yes.
Oh, okay. So there was a delay. Okay. Yeah, we certainly want to talk more about the National New Orleans Voodoo Day. We certainly have time now to get people prepared to be here with us next year in March. It'll be in March next year. We would prefer January, but next year it'll be March, probably for just that 1 year. So you'll have plenty of time now to get your housing together, your reservations together, your travel plans together to be here and participate in this powerful, powerful event. We began at the river, certainly acknowledging the watery gateway, for lack of better words, in which many of our ancestors were unfortunately brought into the nation. In the earliest years of enslavement, 1700s, we have a limited number of ports, operative ports in the U.S., and so certainly Louisiana would have been a major port for bringing in cargo, for bringing in enslaved Africans. And so because of research, we have, very specific documents from the Whitney plantation here in Louisiana that goes into very specific detail about who was brought here, who the first ethnic groups that were brought here. Some of them are mentioned by name, Bambara being probably the largest and first group, as well as Yoruba and Ewe and a few others. And so we start at the river. We acknowledge those ancestral spirits and the river spirits that exist there. And then we begin almost like a living workshop where you walk from location to location, from the river to Congo Square, where people were sold as slaves, where people were abused and violated, where historic locations that resonate with us and certainly with the survival of voodoo. And then we sort of end in Congo Square to begin a much more elaborate festival, not festival, but ceremony that might feel like a festival. We certainly have food and are inviting vendors and other participants to be with us, next year. But there is a major ceremony that we all participated in and will be participating in. And we certainly want to see more of you coming. Alexis, I'm going to let Lilith answer your question. Do we have a date for next year? And she might also want to share a little bit more information about the event in her own voice.
Yeah, I'm also leading the committee to have a symposium as part of the event next year. So right now, where we are set is for the weekend of March 29th and 30th, with the symposium being on the 29th and the actual walk that the Divine Prince was just talking about taking place on that Sunday, the 30th. So that'll all be very exciting. It was so exciting, even though it was our inaugural year last year, it was so exciting to be part of what I really feel like is both an innovative and a revolutionary event, right? Like we are so disparate in all our different traditions and all our different practices. And I think there's just inherently in the tradition, there's been for hundreds of years, really, such competition for resources, such, I think, so easy for people to get angry and upset and I don't know, jealous maybe about certain things. So I think that it really was a landmark event for us to be able to come together like we did last year and like we're going to do next year. And it's such a beautiful thing to me. I mean, I think that people think we're all holding hands and singing Kumbaya, which is delightful, but that's not the reality of the situation, if I'm going to tell the truth on this moment here today. So doing something like that was so special to me. You know, I got to do the offerings for Solomon Northup, who was the writer of 12 Years a Slave. Some of you may know. As a writer, that was so important to me, and to be able to honor him. And, you know, even in my research at the time, I discovered things I didn't know. You know, Northup was the name of the lawyer that helped him actually get free and back to his family after those 12 years. So we don't even really know what his name was, you know, and it's so sad to me that there's such a strong and powerful history of voodoo and all the African traditions here in New Orleans. And so many of those names are lost to the seas of time, which makes me sad, but we still remember them in our hearts as the Gede, as the unnamed ancestors, those who are responsible for us being and living and surviving and thriving here today. So yeah, it's going to be beautiful.
And yes, Diana Kimball, to answer your question, or to respond to your comment, we're certainly grateful that you are going to Benin and have been going to Benin and participating in the National Voodoo Day there in Benin. And for those who aren't aware, this National Voodoo Day was created in Benin for us, the descendants of the Middle Passage. And so we have formulated a relationship, which I'm not going to go much more into detail about right now, with them. And as I mentioned earlier, one of the mayor's team members, who is representative of cultural community, is from Benin. We created this event to sort of partner with Benin, which is why January is our preferred month, to have our event as closest to January 10th as possible. But, you know, January might be a complicated month for us locally here in New Orleans, because there's so much that happens, from Dr. King to, you know, birthday, to us then going into Mardi Gras. It's just so many things that happen in that month to sort of compete with the time. So next year we've settled in on March. There's not a conflict with other events or cultural events that are going on in the city, and it will be extended to a 2-day event. So it will now be a 2-day event. So our symposium, of which beloved Lilith is heading, will be on one day, and then our ceremony and our sacred walk will be on another day, on the second day, Sunday. And we certainly appreciate you all support, because certainly these events, just like Mardi Gras, don't happen in a vacuum, don't happen all in one day. It's taking us more than 365 days a year just to make one day happen. Many masking Black Indians have been sewing on that suit more than a year before they wear that suit on Mardi Gras Day. My Black Hawk suit, I actually sewed that suit for 2.5 years before I wore that suit. So this is lifestyle. This is every day for us. Voodoo isn't something that we mask on Sundays. You know, voodoo isn't something that we only, you know, mention when it's religiously, spiritually feasible for us. This is something that we put a lot of time, effort, and energy in every single day. And so certainly this event, we've put time and energy in every single day to make this event happen. We meet more than once a week, you know, to make sure that we cover all of our bases in these events. So we invite you all to do the same, to partner with us, to join with us, to support us in the production of this event. This is your event as well. Those of you who are in the Voodoo community, nationally, internationally, this is also your event. So we invite your active involvement, your active participation. We do have a website. I should have had it up, but it's www.voodooday.org. And the website is VODOUDAY.org. Voodoo Day with the U, Voodoo with the U's, voodooday.org. And there you can stay abreast of what we're doing, any changes that we might have to make. The website is still reflecting January 25th, so we certainly need to make sure they change that so that people are, aware of what we're doing and when we're doing it. You can meet some of our cultural bearers by visiting the website. And certainly we appreciate your offerings, donations, commentary as it relates to the event and how we can then improve the event. So we have a few more minutes. I've already been on since 12 noon, Lilith. So we just, went over long enough to accommodate you and make sure that we could get you in. I'm not seeing right now any questions, comments in the chat. If you indeed have a question or a comment, please call in right now, pop in right now, enter that in the chat right now. Otherwise, we're going to close shortly. I certainly appreciate you, Lilith, joining me today, and I look forward to you coming back where we can talk a little bit more about you and your books and some of your favorite topics and subject matter. I'm not sure how much you saw or heard before I realized that you were here, but we talked a little about social media and some of the antics that we're seeing in social media, faking profiles, stealing people's content and information, the overnight spiritual practitioners who really have no receipts or no footprint, sort of behind them. I would be curious to have, some of your opinion about that and maybe how that has also affected you.
Oh, yeah. I got a lot of opinions about that. I mean, I've seen it all. I'm old school. Like, we had our first website, I think, back in 2008, and the first searchable herb database, probably even earlier than that, I think 2002. So, yeah, I've been around probably longer than some of these people with fake receipts have been alive. And it's a mess. It's a mess. But I really appreciate you and your audience for going and finding authentic practitioners, going and finding, BIPOC to speak on these topics, which I feel like our voice has been silenced for so long that it's a beautiful thing to be able to have people hear us now.
Yes. And that's why I started this show off saying that I'm here for you. I took some time off. I was not podcasting regularly. I'm back better than ever with a new sense of motivation. Our voices must be heard. Our voices must be heard, particularly now where we're existing in a world that is seeking to silence ethnic, cultural, spiritual voices that don't line up with the status quo. And the unfortunate reality is that some of our very own people within our community have aligned themselves with these powers that would seek to eliminate what we're bringing to the table. So we must speak it. We must demonstrate it. We must be present for it. And we must be present here for you, those of you who are also walking sort of this journey that Lilith and I began decades ago, literally. I had my first website in 2007. I first got online in 2007. Didn't know anything, about what MySpace was or Yahoo Yahoo 360 was. And once I figured it out and had sort of mastered Yahoo 360, they shut it down. And then they started propagating, many of these new platforms. So we might see the very same thing with TikTok if we're not careful. TikTok has created a phenomenal global reach for information, not just spirituality and religion and hoodoo and voodoo, but for information. And so to shut that down, would sort of cause many of us to put a little bit more effort into the platforms that you're already on, and certainly maybe adding on some platforms that maybe you've neglected. I'm on almost everything. Twitter, I was on X, before it was X, it was Twitter, I was there. Facebook, since the beginning. YouTube, more time than I can even remember right now. And very few people were doing what I was doing. Very few people were doing what Lilith was doing. And then all of a sudden, it just blew up overnight. And it's easy for us to say, well, it's the people who, want to do what we do. But let's not forget big business, big corporations that are in the shadows are also making sure that this happens to lessen our reach, to lessen our power, to lessen our gravity. They're not happy about vegans and vegetarians. They're not happy about herbalists and people who are teaching us to maintain our awareness and connection with Mother Earth for our very healing, for our very survival. They don't want that. They would much rather the foolishness. They would much rather the comedy and the entertainment. Comedy and entertainment is not easy. So I take nothing from the professionals in that space. It takes a lot to get 100,000 followers. It takes a lot to get 1 million followers in any genre, particularly, comedy and humor. But in spirituality and religion, we must be very careful. There's a thin line between staying true to authentic spirituality tradition and then willing ourselves over to entertainment. I have a very popular TikTok video about witchery and black magic, and be careful about who you come after. 100,000 likes and views, but it in no way represents the authentic demonstration and practice of the tradition. So we need to be careful about latching on to what seems popular, what is fashionable, and then expecting it to sort of meet our real world needs in terms of operating authentically in this tradition. So I'm certainly here for you in your endeavors. I'm sure Priestess Lilith is certainly here for you. We're both godchildren of Priestess Miriam. Okay. So back, when I was getting my start and meeting some challenges, it was Priestess Miriam that paid my phone bill. Priestess Miriam made sure my internet stayed on so that I could keep doing what I was doing. So we're both product of Priestess Miriam, and I'm grateful for her. She doesn't get, in my opinion, the attention that she deserves. Often the authentic practitioners don't. The grassroots practitioners often don't. We modern society likes glitz and glamour, and so we're not always glitz and glamour. And so that's a struggle that I'm finding is no longer mine. It's no longer my challenge to be entertaining. If this is entertaining for you and you enjoy, the podcast and you are here every day, great. But my job is not to be entertaining. My job is to make sure that we clarify that thin line between entertainment, American Horror Story, I was there, that's entertainment, and authentic demonstration of the tradition. So our national annual Voodoo Day is might be entertaining, might be beautiful to watch and witness, but know that we take this very seriously. And the people who are participating take their connection and their initiations and their involvement in voodoo at whatever division very seriously. This isn't about pop culture. This isn't about trying to be all of inclusive. As Lilith mentioned, voodoo is all inclusive. It always has been from the very beginning. But if you aren't understanding voodoo and what voodoo is from its origins, then you missed that. There's an author who, berated Marie Laveau and said Marie Laveau is a reason so much of our voodoo is performance oriented. He also accused her of commercializing voodoo, making the readings and the consultations, sort of commonplace outside of community. Certainly, I don't agree. And I've had my own conversations with the author of this particular said book. Okay. But yeah, people will say that and will claim it's their position, but know that they are operating as ops, as the kids say, for that very community that I talked about in the first hour of the show, who are seeking to shut us down, melanated people down, Aboriginal people down, indigenous people down, all over the world, and remove our power. So be careful. Be careful. Be studious. Do your work. Lilith has written plenty of books. I'm featured in another book author. Denise Alvarado has written plenty of books. There are other authors out there that I'm not reciting right off the tip of my tongue that have written very powerful, detailed books. I'm looking for one now that was written in 1984 that's not even in rotation anymore. It's on the banned book list. So mentorship is critical. Community is critical. And know that there are people who would like to see us all shut down. Just don't give in to that. Just don't give in to that. I think I've said enough. I'll let you close. Thank you, Goddess Initiative, another one of my God children, family members. Thank you. But I'm going to allow Priestess Miriam to close. I'm sorry, I called you Priestess Miriam. I'll allow Priestess Miriam to close, and then I'll see you here again at high noon U.S. Central Standard Time on tomorrow. Go ahead, Lilith.
Yeah, well, I just want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank the Divine Prince again for having me on. I think I agree with a lot of what was said in my short time here. I mean, for me, it's that a lot of these things traditionally, voodoo things, hoodoo things, this is the religion of an enslaved people for a very long time. So a lot of those things are dangerous, and if you don't understand what a certain herb is going to do, not just magically, but physically, you could end up really getting hurt. So this is why we have a community. This is why we have mentors, teachers. I've been with my godmother, Priestess Miriam, for over 30 years now. My other godmothers, I've been with them for decades. So it's a one-on-one interaction. And it's something where somebody knows you and they know how you're going to respond. And in turn, you give back to those people. So it's definitely a symbiotic relationship. And it's one that we work hard to keep strong and keep going. So I appreciate everybody. I appreciate everybody's efforts to learn the truth about voodoo, which is something I've been committed to for a very long time. And I hope everybody has a wonderful day. Thank you.
You as well, beloved. And once again, we certainly are grateful, honored by your presence and your being here with us today. Let me respond to our beloved Rodrigo from Brazil. First and foremost, greetings. Thank you so much for being present. I actually have connection in Brazil. One of the projects that I'm working on is about voodoo in West Africa, Brazil, and the U.S. So I actually have a production team that's operating in Brazil, and they're in the Brazilian voodoo community. They're also in the Brazilian candomblé community. So I certainly appreciate you. Feel free to email me, and we can talk a little bit more about studying and learning New Orleans voodoo, what that looks like in earnest, and how that is manifest. And hopefully in the next coming months, I'll have an opportunity to meet you and see you in Brazil. So thank you so much for coming by. Lilith, if you can put your website and your email address in the
It's taken me a minute. I'm going to do it. Come on, come on. Oh, come on. It's taking me forever because it wants me to open up YouTube. All right, I'm just going to tell it to you again because it's not going to let me put it down there. My website is lilithdorsey.com, LilithDorsey.com. There's only one L in the middle. I know I had somebody who was trying to pretend to be me that threw a whole bunch of L's in there. You know how shady stuff they do. And I'm Lilith Dorsey on all of different social media, and my website, my email, voodoouniverse@yahoo.com. So thank you.
So again, thank you so much for being with us. Everyone, thank you so much for staying with me, sticking by me, and being here with me today. I'm going to end as I've always done with Congo Square. All is a blessing.
Congo.